These next exercises are often referred to as the Job 4, named for the legendary orthopedic surgeon, Dr. Frank Job. These exercises have been extensively studied and show that there's high levels of activation of the rotator cuff and scapular muscles. They should be an integral part in any tennis player or overhead athlete's program, and we refer to them heavily in our use of the TheraBand CLX, Softweight, and other TheraBand products. This exercise is called side-lying external rotation. We again use a towel roll to slightly position the shoulder and arm away from the side of the body. This exercise is very important for developing the rotator cuff and scapular musculature. We use the TheraBand Softweight, which is 1/2 kilogram. Typical ranges of resistance levels for this exercise range from a 1/2 kilogram to as much as a 2 kilogram based on the size and weight of the player. We begin the exercise with the ball resting against the table and the arm in internal rotation, as you see here. And then Jackie's going to perform multiple sets and repetitions of external rotation, coming about 3/4 of the way, just shy of a fully parallel position. It's important that we don't go too far into external rotation, as we don't want to put a great deal of stress on the front of the shoulder coming all the way into external rotation. It's important also to note that we do both concentric and eccentric contractions, so we want to move slowly with this exercise during both the raising and lowering of the weight. This exercise is called shoulder extension, and we have Jackie in the prone position looking towards the side that she's exercising. She begins by externally rotating her extremity or pointing her thumb outward, and it'll remain in that position throughout the duration of the exercise. She's going to raise her arm back towards her hip, pausing for a second and then slowly lowering back to the starting position. She'll perform multiple sets of 15 repetitions of this exercise. It's important to note that you want to slowly move up concentrically, shortening the musculature, as well as slowly lowering the weight, working eccentrically. Also, the scapula is moving freely into protraction and retraction, which is a functional position and a functional movement that occurs with shoulder movements. This exercise is called prone horizontal abduction. We have Jackie positioned on her stomach with her face looking towards the exercising extremity. She will externally rotate her shoulder, basically pointing the thumb outward, and it'll remain in that position throughout the exercise. She's going to raise her arm, keeping her elbow straight, out to the side, no more than parallel, straight up to this position, and then back in a controlled fashion. We want to move slowly, both shortening and lengthening the musculature. We also want to avoid having her raise up higher than 90 degrees, as this could promote impingement of the shoulder. We also will notice that the scapula is moving freely, as it should be, as it's very functional for the scapula to protract and retract during this important movement pattern. This exercise is called prone external rotation. We have Jackie positioned on her stomach with a soft weight in her hand. It doesn't matter what position the hand is in during this particular exercise. She's going to begin by bringing her arm upward, as you see here, retracting the scapula, and then externally rotating the shoulder 90 degrees, such that it's parallel to the ground. She'll then reverse that position and then go back to the starting position, as you see here. She'll perform multiple sets of 15 repetitions of this exercise. This is an excellent exercise for training the scapular musculature, or the shoulder blade muscles that stabilize that important area during serving and virtually all tennis-specific movement patterns. This exercise is called external rotation with retraction. We actually use the CLX, and Jackie actually places her hands in 2 adjacent loops of the CLX. She's going to start with her elbows at her side, elbows flexed about 90 degrees, and she's going to actually rotate, kind of moving the forearms, if you will, out about 6 to 8 inches. And then she's going to retract her scapula or pinch the shoulder blades together. This is again one of the most important parts of the exercise. She'll then return to the starting position. So it's essentially 2 steps: external rotation and then scapular retraction. Upright posture is again very, very important throughout this exercise. We would do multiple sets of 15 repetitions of this particular exercise. This exercise is called bilateral shoulder extension, and it really emphasizes scapular retraction as well. We're actually going to use the CLX with the net post on this exercise. So I pass this around the net post, as you see here, just about dead center. Jackie then slides her hands into the terminal loops, or the end loops of the CLX. And she's going to place her hands in external rotation, so pointing her thumbs outward, as you see here. This is somewhat of a two-step exercise where she's going to bring her shoulders back, even with her sides, and then retract the scapula back, as you see here. We would perform several sets of 15 repetitions of this exercise, and the actual squeezing together of the shoulder blades, called retraction, is actually the most important part of this exercise. One of the common mistakes that many people make when they do this exercise is they come too far back behind themselves into too much extension. That actually places undue stress on the front of the shoulder, and we want to avoid that at all costs. This exercise is excellent for the rotator cuff and the scapular musculature. This exercise involves working the external rotators, the muscles in the back of the shoulder, in a position more specific to serving or overhead activity. The arm is abducted 90 degrees, as you see here, relative to the body, and the elbow remains bent 90 degrees as well. We start from a neutral rotation position and externally rotate, as you see here, through an arc of about 90 degrees till it's straight up or parallel. We would perform multiple sets of 15 or so repetitions to fatigue the muscles in the back of the shoulder. This is an integral exercise for the elite tennis player. And rest. This exercise is called external rotation. It's extremely important for developing the muscles in the back of the shoulder and the scapular area. We place a towel roll underneath the arm, as you see here, to slightly move the arm away from the body, which places the shoulder in an optimal position. What Jackie's going to do is she's either going to grasp the band or actually open the hand, whichever is more comfortable for her. She's going to have this nice loop to be able to guide her with the exercise. We're going to start out against the stomach, and we're going to do several sets of 15 repetitions with about 30 seconds rest in between, just like you get when you play tennis, of this exercise. It's important that she's not moving her whole body and she's remaining stable, and that the elbow remains bent at a 90-degree angle.